Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Paul, the Chinese president is visiting Rwanda. And you know, when there's something in Rwanda, Uganda has issues. But today we don't have issues. It is not news that China has given Congo and Angola and some other countries large sums of money for A, B, C, D, and Z. And it looks like Rwanda is also, you know, about to get some. That is not my problem. My problem is, should it actually be a problem? China is slowly penetrating African economies.
Slowly.
But surely.
Okay.
And quickly.
It was very fast.
It is quick lately.
Okay.
What does this mean for development partners? What does this mean for African economies?
No, first of all, of course, China has, we know, has a huge population.
Yes.
Almost 2 billion, I think, about 1.5 billion people. It has development needs. It needs to create enough economic growth to keep these people in an acceptable standard of living. Of course, China doesn't have all the resources in the world. It doesn't have all the resources it needs to do this. So we come to Africa. Africa has a lot of resources. And therefore, the interest, as you said earlier, in Angola, which is oil. Congo, they have some industrial minerals that are used for industrial applications. Even Uganda, they know oil fields. In Tanzania, they're also there. They're all over. But it's really for them a search for resources to sustain or keep the economy growing.
Is that okay? Should we be excited about this? Is the development partners?
Well, China is also a development partner. It's not because you're a Muzungu that makes you a development partner. Well, it can go either of two ways. It can go the way that other foreign countries have exploited Africa. The Europeans and Western economies have exploited Africa. They were in Africa earlier on, of course, for the same reason. They needed resources to develop their own economies.
Sure.
Or it could go another way where there's mutual benefit to China and to the continent. The way it looks now, I mean, China seems kind of willing to
do more.
Well, first of all, interestingly, and why China's interest in us is very interesting, is China have actually in the last 40 years transitioned from an underdeveloping country to a developed country. So they have a very recent history of how this is done. Forget the textbooks. Those are the all the planners in Western Europe or in America know how their countries are developed from the textbooks. In China, they have people who have seen it happen.
True.
Economists. So they are willing to help us with that. How do you do this? So it can be mutually beneficial in that sense. If China can extract what it wants and leave us with something, you know, it can be a win-win situation.
That's really good, but they give commercial loans to African countries. And you know what commercial loans do?
What do they do?
I don't know much, but they do something. For example, if you fail to pay, they will take, say, your land or whatever project they've been working on and make it their own. Well,
first of all, that is let's not first of all think that the previous development partners, because their money was cheaper, they didn't take anything. They extracted stuff from here. Even on the back of those development loans, their companies have come here and whereas it's fair, they have extracted a lot of value in dividends, in repatriation of profits and what.
Right.
So maybe it's just because China wants physical stuff, physical resources. But I think a better person to deal with is a person who lends you money on a commercial basis than a person who gives you charity. A person who gives you charity, you'll always be dependent on them.
True.
You'll never develop because you know that whenever I need money, I just ask the person. But Chinese guys will always have the conditions. First, by the way, those loans, they're not automatic. They go through feasibility. The Chinese say, no, we can't put our money in this thing. It's not going to work. So it actually happens. So you'd rather have a person who tells you, look, you know, you want to build a railway, let me give you the money, but first I have to make sure that this railway project will work, and when it works, I will get my money back. That's how I get my money back. If I end up taking collateral, it's something I really don't want to do. Rather than somebody who tells you that you say, now I want a railway, say, why do you need a railway? Or I want a road, why do you need a road? That has no economic benefit. But then you say, excuse me, there are people on the other side who want to move to this side and us who want to move to this side. No, that's not an economic benefit. So, because you're on charity, you really have no, you can't, I mean, you can't beg harder.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting times in the next few decades, this interaction between Chinese, who have a lot of resources, obviously, to lend out or pass on, and the Western.
I like that you say it will be an interesting one, because I'm wondering, does this mean our poor African countries are going to jump to some rich economies of sorts?
Well, it depends on, I think it depends on several things. One, can we consolidate our markets? Can we bring these artificial boundaries, bring them down? That's one. And two, can we develop the infrastructure to move things and people around in these regions?
Okay.
A lot of our trouble is we just can't move people within ourselves. I was happy to read the other day that Africa's intra-Africa trade, trade within Africa in the last 10 years, has grown quite dramatically, and that's a function of connecting all of us with our roads and our railways and our telecoms and all that. So
that's really good.
So I mean, it's not impossible. We have all the resources. It's just about what do you call it? Activating this potential, and you do that by consolidating our markets and networking ourselves with infrastructure. I like
that some people realize we have resources and they're helping us activate them.
Yeah, of course. First of all, obviously, no one is doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They have something to gain.
Of course.
But if you can also gain, why not?
Why
I mean,
not?
It's fair.
Yeah.
Why should you always be there on handouts?
Okay. Okay, we look forward to that partnership and relationship. Thank you for.
Thank you.